This is Jacob Cast 2024. We're going to talk about WWE NXT. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. All right, hold on for a minute. Now, my video will be like an hour. I'll make like an hour and 20 minutes. My video is sponsored by PlayStation. It's sponsored by JD from New York, Salamonster Sound Off, Good My Work Commentary, No DQ, Fight Full Wrestling, Annie Salcedo. Those are the only other podcasters and subscribers that I know. Now we're gonna talk about AEW. I probably should have did this last night, but I didn't have enough time, so I'll just do this real quick. Because yesterday we had NXT and AEW. AEW Dynamite was on last night. The Wrestle Dream position. Here comes the money. Will we see Shane McMahon? Um, we know that it went that one with 2 hours. The Wrestle Dream positions. Alright. Wrestle Dream, October 12th, this Saturday. These are the matches for the pay-per-view this Saturday on the 12th. AEW World Championship, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Open challenge with Darby Allin and Brody King. The Ring of Honor World Champion, Chris Jericho and Mark Baszler. AEW TNT Championship, Jack Perry, Kushida Koshana. AEW International Championship, Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konoshi Takasa. AEW Tag Team Championship, the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson, Nicholas Jackson versus the Private Party, Jay and Quinn. The 0 Hour, otherwise the pre-show. The Ring of Honor Televised Championship, Atlanta Jr. versus Brian Cage. How many matches? Like 6 matches. We have at least 6 matches, 7 if you count the pre-show, but right now we have 6 matches. Hope it's 6 matches. Hope it's not gonna be that long. But 6 matches is good enough. At least it's not like 14 or 13 matches. Maybe the pay-per-view might be pretty short. Oh, we gotta talk about Bad Blood, the return of The Rock and Jimmy Uso. Denise Salcedo in red. So this is AEW Title Tuesday. Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Rata versus Claudio and Pac. TBS New Japan Strong Women's Champion Mercedes defend both her titles against Emmy. Willow Nightland versus Britt Baker and an AEW Women's World Title Eliminator. Hook calls out Taz's attackers. Darby Allin and Billy King face to face. Now this might take pretty long. Now there's NXT. There's also a lot to talk about on NXT as well. Randy Orton was in action on NXT. Jay Carter and Bianca Belair, they were in action. We did see Jey Uso on the show. Good morning, all right. All right, now let me show you what happened on NXT. Wait, Damian Priest hosting Boston Small Business Superstars. When will be on the show, a music video for Hell in Cell with Punk and McIntyre. Now here's the full recap of NXT that was yesterday. The main event was Randy Orton and Javon Evans in a very good match. Randy Orton went over. His wife, his daughter was there. Randy Orton had a great match, very decent. He shook his hand and showed sportsmanship to Evans. We got we got Fair Essom retained the tag team titles against A Town Down Under. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller lost. I wonder when they're gonna break up and when they were gonna go babyface. If they are, I don't know. But it was a very good match. The white team won. We got a title change here. Tony D'Angelo conquers Obi to become the North American Championship, and a very good match, a very good moment. Um, Crowd loved it. I'm glad that NXT is not in the Performance Center, and I'm glad that they're in arenas here. It might have been only for this. Now they put NXT debut on CW. Stephanie, Bessa, Gio. We got Casey, Casey Jordan, Bianca Belair, and Jay Carter beat the Fatal Influence. Now, this is what opened the show. Trick Williams came out. They had a he had a promo with Wes Lee. So Wes Lee gonna be moving up to the NXT title scene. That's a match I love to see. Wes Lee and Trick Williams. I'm glad that Wes Lee's out of the mid card and going to the top title. Him and Trick Williams. That's my program I like to see. We did get Jey Uso come out. Did the Yee. I thought they were mega over. Jey Uso came to NXT to Yeet with the NXT champ Trick Williams. Both guys are over. Both guys are awesome. I think that's all we got on the show. Is that really all? Because that was it. There wasn't that much. They felt like that there could have been some more here. But I guess not. It looked like that was it. Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade playing. Now here's AEW Dynamite. Ospreay leave Callis. Says here will Ospreay lead Don Callis' family. A lot of people said that the AEW Dynamite sucked last night, that it may have been the worst go home show. It might have been the worst all year. I don't think I don't think remember commentary did one, did he? No, he didn't. Now here's some news and rumors. Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, but the 1-1.
There was a gap in the WWE family this week. The first celebrity inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame passed away this week. Pete Rose died on Monday at the age of 83 from heart disease. He is baseball's all-time hit king, well north of 4,000 hits in his career. Won 3 World Series championships, famously banned from baseball due to betting on games, including Reds games, while he was managing the team, which is prohibited. The rules don't make the distinction of whether or not you are betting for or against your team, but if you are involved, that is a violation of the rules. And a lot of people believe he did bet against his own team. Well,
so Pete Rose in WWE and should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He was a baseball legend, WWE Hall of Famer, 83 years old from heart disease. He also discussed why he was apparently banned from baseball and weighed into the debate on whether or not he deserved introduction in the International Baseball Hall of Fame in Coopertown.
He was managing, even though there was no evidence of it, he's always denied it. People that knew him believed that he did. And you can see where that would be problematic because, in theory, it could influence the moves that you make in the course of the game. It could influence the decisions. that you're making during a game if you know you have money on that game. So he agreed to a permanent ban from baseball. And Bart Giamatti, who had only been the commissioner for a few months by that point, he died, I think, like a week later of a heart attack. So how's that for you? You don't think this didn't weigh on him? He was only 51 years old. A week after this all goes down, he drops. But Rose applied for reinstatement multiple times over the years with different commissioners. Every single time his request was shot down or ignored. Now, he was also deemed ineligible for induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Just based on his stats alone, he would have been a shoo-in. Easy first ballot Hall of Famer. But there's always been this heated debate about whether or not he deserved to be inducted because of the gambling stuff. Ultimately, he never was. But he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004, which is where the so-called celebrity wing started. And it was all just kind of tongue-in-cheek. Since baseball wouldn't induct him into its Hall of Fame, WWE decided to induct. Maybe he just needed the payday. I don't know. But his appearances were always very entertaining. The gambling stuff is not the only controversy that dogged him. There was a story maybe 6 or 7 years ago where he sued the special counsel that was brought in by MLB to investigate his gambling allegations back in the 80s. This guy, John Dowd. And when the lawyer did an interview, thing that makes me leave. It's been a very divisive thing.
I hear the Wrestle Dream
That's kind of how
petition.
Wrestle Dream is feeling to me right now. It's not going to be a bad show by any means. AEW, if they know how to do one thing, it comes to the quality of their pay-per-views, they know how to do pay-per-view the right way. But the international title match right now, as I look at this card, is the only one that I look at where I'm like, okay, this match here I have to see. But let's run down this card so far, since it is coming up next Saturday, and I will give my predictions. We have Brian Cage against Atlantis Jr. on the pre-show for the Ring of Honor television title. You lost me at Ring of Honor television title. I presume that Atlantis is going to retain. We might possibly get Hangman Page against Jay White. That is not official. It could very well happen on TV. If it gets made, though, I'm going with Hangman. Even though Jay White just came back. I feel like after beating Swerve, the eventual direction for Hangman should be the AEW World title. And I don't think he should lose until he wins the world title. So I'm going with Hangman. Mercedes Moné. She might be defending her TBS championship on the show against Chris Statlander. Again, that is not official, but that is the direction. But if it does, I'm picking Mercedes to retain. Chris Statlander, by the way, is now a babyface. Did you know that? You know that after Collision last night, but she is now a babyface. She no longer has Stokely Hathaway with her. And no, there was no angle done on TV to explain any of this. She had that great match with Willow Nightingale at All Out that she won. There was no angle coming out of it to explain the change and why she would have dropped Stokely. Tony Khan just did it. After turning on her best friend, she turned on Willow Nightingale, who is like the most beloved woman in the entire company, one of the most beloved baby faces in the entire company. And now she's just a baby face out of nowhere. And we're supposed to root for her because Mercedes is the heel or something. That's about as deep as this goes. And yet there are people who think that there's nothing wrong with the way that Tony Khan books. Everything is just hunky-dory. Speaking of out of nowhere, they announced that Emi Sakura is back from Japan. She's going to be challenging Mercedes on Tuesday. It is the lone title match so far that has been announced for this show. And she's going to be challenging Mercedes for both her TBS title and her New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Why? Because the video package last night said that she's in her 30th year in the business, and Emi wants to finally win a title in AEW. So Tony Khan is giving her a double title match. The strong title I could see. What she has done to earn a shot at the TBS title That was never explained. Darby Allin issued that open challenge, right? He got attacked last night by Brody King on Collision. So it's going to be Darby Allin against Brody King. Darby thinks it's because he's never pinned Brody King before. Not in AEW, not on the Indies, not anywhere. And Brody, owes his AEW career, in Darby's words, he owes his career to Darby. Everything he has in AEW is because of Darby. Take away from him. So I'm going to go with Briscoe to retain with maybe a big Bill assist backfiring to cost Jericho the match. So at least we get some story advancement out of this. Mariah May is going to defend her Women's World Championship against the winner of the match between Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale on Dynamite this Tuesday. I'm guessing it's going to be Willow, and they don't go with Britt as a challenger this quickly. But whoever it is, Mariah is not losing this match. Private Party, they beat the House of Black and Top Flight on Collision last night to earn the right to challenge the Young Bucks here for the tag team titles. I would like to see Private Party get a run with the belts. They never have. In 5 years with AEW, they never have. But to go from being destroyed by the Blackpool Combat Club and made to look like scrubs, basically, to then beating the Young Bucks to win the titles, I mean, it's too big of a leap for me to believe that they would actually do. So the Young Bucks retain. Jack Perry defends the TNT Championship against Katsuyori Shibata. I mean, I like Shibata and everything, but again, this is just one of those matches for the sake of doing matches. And Jack Perry is not losing. Will Ospreay defends the international title in a three-way match against Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. I am all for a Takeshita win here, but I like the idea of him beating Okada in the finals of the Continental Classic more. And I just don't see him winning here and then winning that too. So my heart says Takeshita, but my head says Ospreay retains. So I'm going to say Will Ospreay remains the international champion. And Bryan Danielson puts the AEW World Championship and his career, as he is doing in every match, on the line against Jon Moxley. This feels like a title change to me. Again, I think the reason that we're getting these Bryan Danielson matches so rushed is because he's done. Again, as a full-time performer, he's done. And they're going to wrap it up with him in his home state of Washington here at Wrestle Dream. Jon Moxley is the one who is leading the charge with whatever this new angle that they're doing is with him and the BCC. It's like he's fighting for the greater good, right? There's like a greater power. Remember when Vince McMahon was the greater power? It's me. It was me all along, Austin. I think that there's another mix. So that's the card for Wrestle Dream. Again, it will change a little bit more during the week. I think it's pretty full as it is. But again, some of the matches I mentioned are not official for the card. They may not end up on this card. But that is the card. And it is next Saturday night. So there will be no Collision next week. If you're a big Collision fan, you'll be very disappointed if there will be no Collision next Saturday.
All right.
Because of Wrestle.
Yeah.
And one last AEW note here, and this is kind of scary. Luchasaurus, or Killswitch, whatever you want to call him. The reason we have not seen him in several weeks is he is recovering after his fiance found him collapsed at home. That's October 27th. He was rushed to the hospital where they found that his blood oxygen was below 80%. That is dangerously low. We're talking life and death. I didn't know much about blood oxygen until COVID hit. And, people were buying those little finger monitors and
all right. Now, what else? I think I already talked about the. Wait, I already showed that. Battle for the Night.
And they went up against an NXT show from St. Louis. Special appearance by Randy Orton. St. Louis's own Randy Orton. And we're going to talk about both shows because I have watched both shows, including the 1 hour where I had two different screens going at the same time. So we're going to be talking about both of these things. This was the second episode of NXT on the CW network. Last week was their debut. And I was not overly impressed last week with that first CW show. This week was a big improvement from last week. Actually really liked the NXT show tonight. Just the whole vibe of the show. They were in a different location. They were in a much smaller venue. And I really think it made the show, just the energy and the vibe of the show was much improved. And they had some great action as well, including the main event, which was Randy Orton against Javon Evans, the 20-year-old phenom in NXT, who's been getting a bit of a push throughout the year. And he was in there in the biggest match of his life tonight. And in the biggest moment, in what could have been, up to this point, the biggest moment in his young career, because all week long, he was thinking about it. How are we going to do this RKO spot, right? He was going to bed every night thinking about this. And unfortunately, whatever it was that they had in mind, whatever he thought, oh man, this is going to go viral, this is going to be huge, it didn't quite work out that way. And I'll tell you what, if it was 15 years earlier, Randy Orton would have reacted in a very different way than he did tonight. You can tell how Randy Orton has matured over the years, because the reaction he had to that botched finish was not going to be the reaction that he would have had many years ago. But I thought it was a very enjoyable show on the whole. Over on TBS, we had AEW Dynamite, a show that they billed as Title Tuesday. You would think a show called Title Tuesday, they also have their Battle of the Belts that they're contractually obligated to do 4 times a year. You would think on a show called Title Tuesday, okay, well, there's going to be some championship matches. Well, you would be wrong if you thought that there would be championship matches, being plural. We have one championship match tonight, which was for 2 titles, the TBS title and the New Japan Strong Women's title. And that was it. One title match on a show called Title Tuesday, which is quite absurd. So I'm not even sure why they called it that in the first place, unless they were referring to the #1 contenders match, which had title implications for the women's world title at Wrestle Dream this weekend, but that's a bit of a stretch. So yes, we had Title Tuesday with 1 title match, and frankly, it wasn't even a significant title. And that's what we ended up with there. Dynamite, I can already tell from the poll results. I'm going to check out the poll results later on from Twitter, so you can go vote right now. But I can already tell the reaction is going to be mixed. I don't think I disliked this episode of Dynamite the way that some of you may have. I thought on the whole it was a solid show. It wasn't the worst Dynamite I've ever seen or anything like that. It just didn't do a whole hell of a lot to get me any more excited for Wrestle Dream this week. This was the go-home show. This was their last-ditch effort to get people pumped up for Wrestle Dream, which I am sure when Wrestle Dream comes, as is usually the case with these AEW shows, it'll be an excellent show. You get a lot of quality matches on there, and they do pay-per-view very well. I'm not worried about that aspect of things. In the ring, they can handle their business on those shows. Just going into it, as far as the stories, as far as the matches, they didn't really do a whole hell of a lot tonight to get me excited for that show. They didn't make me less inclined to be excited, but they didn't get me any more excited. But we did get a couple of really good matches on the show, including one that I was not expecting to necessarily enjoy as much as I did, maybe because there was just so much wrestling going on tonight. And it was a match that you would absolutely just see thrown out there on Rampage, maybe Collision. It has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the pay-per-view this weekend, and yet it stole the show. From an in-ring perspective, it stole the show. Between Hologram and Commander. It's a Rampage match, if I've ever heard one. But it was the best thing bell to bell on the entire show. And then there were some other things on the show that were head-scratching, but that's sort of part of the course lately when it comes to Dynamite. We talk about both of these shows. If I had to pick one over the other, which one I enjoyed more, which one I personally thought was the better of the 2 shows, it was NXT by far. But we're going to talk about both of them here because, again, this is your NXT and Dynamite dual review. I am the Solid Monster. Thank you for hanging out with me here for a little bit on a Tuesday night. Usually I'm on better than it was last week, even though they were in a bigger building with more people. It's funny how that works sometimes. So I really enjoyed it. The only thing is, you could tell they really kept the building dark. It was pretty dark. And not because they couldn't move tickets, but I think what it was, they just didn't want people to see how small the venue was. And I'm watching this and I'm like, come on, it's not that big of a deal, just lighten it up a little bit. But it reminds me, like, many years ago, when times were very lean for them, WWF would run these syndicated tapings, literally sometimes at high school gymnasiums. Here to kick off the second reign here for Trick is not a bad idea. Doesn't leave any doubt as to who's going to win. And we know it's not going to be Wes Lee. But the reality is, Trick needs an opponent. Wes is coming off of a big win over Zach Wentz in that street fight last week. So now he's as strong as he's probably been in a very long time as a single. So it kind of makes sense why they would want him to be next in line. So from this, they went directly into the entrances for the first match of the night, which was the women's North American champion, Kalani Jordan, and the women's tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, taking on Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. The story coming into this, basically, is that Fatal Influence is not a fan of all of these athletes that are populating NXT now, who have come from other sports. Kalani Jordan, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, they were all great athletes before they ever set foot in wrestling, so they would qualify. So that was sort of the genesis of all this. So the heels worked over Jordan for a while. Crowd wanted Jade. They got Jade. She made a hot tag. She was a one-woman wrecking crew in here. She had a fall-away slam on Jasmine Nix through her halfway across the ring. Got some height on a choke slam this poor woman. JC Jane finally took her out. Two shot. That's what they did in the main event with Randy Orton. Sarah Schreiber was in the back with Julia. Asked her about Rock.
All right. Now it might take a while, so might want to skip some of it. Might want to skip some of it. See what he says about AEW Dynamite. I'm only gonna show some of it.
Right? I think they were in Spokane tonight. Yeah. So NXT for their show, I think they had right around 1,800 people. 1,800, 2,000, like somewhere in that range. Is what they had in St. Louis. NXT, or AEW rather, was in Spokane. They're in Washington as well this weekend in Tacoma for wrestling. But they ran this venue. They were running a 10,000 seat arena tonight. And they had about the same number of people that NXT had. The problem is when you run a 10,000 seat building and you put 2,000 people in there, which is what they had, not even. I think they had 1,800 people in the building. You hear all the echoes. And you hear all the people, and you get that one loud fan who starts chanting shit, right? Like you could tell when there's not a lot of people in the building because it's not meant to fit that few people. It's meant to fit a lot more than what they had. And I think that you could probably run some dynamites in buildings like what I was just talking about. He didn't have to attack him. Now the two of them are in the ring together. Darby brings up working the indies with Brooke.
Alright, might will just skip this. And I'll show you guys JD from New York and see his review and his reaction.
I will see you guys back here on Friday night. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm friends with Salamoster and JD from New York. I'm only showing some. That was AEW Dynamite. Alright, let's look at this. Now this was yesterday. These are the highlights from AEW Dynamite. Alright. So these are the highlight to AEW Dynamite. This is the executive. This might be after when Dynamite was over. This is the Young Bucks versus Private Party AEW timeline. Here's the Master Champion main event. Here's the hologram 1-on-1. Here's AEW World Champ. Here's Iba. What's her name? Iba Sa. It's hard to say her name, but it shows her challenging the TBS champion and NJPW Strong Women's champion Mercedes, and they had a very good match. We have Bang Bang Gang. Jay White is back. They take a name at what? Daniel Garcia addresses his future in AEW. We got Chris Jericho and crew teach Rocky Romero a lesson. Now this was off the air. Brian Danielson. We had Master Champions. Well, AEW National Champ. We had a four-way eliminator, winner who faces AEW Women's Champion. There, Darby Allin and Brody King face to face. Allin called out longtime nemesis. Those were the highlights to Collision last week. Ricochet losing control. I didn't really watch AEW Collision, it's not that good. They look back on the 5-year anniversary. Is Adam Cole still injured? He might be. Now AEW destroyed. It says that NXT destroyed AEW in the ratings. They both went to one night. New WWE signing. AEW star re-signed. We have WWE stars frustrated. We had a huge WWE return confirmed. WrestleMania 41 plans leaked. We have a WT's massive return. SmackDown debut plans. We know that Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes after Bad Blood after showing up here. Adam Cole returned to AEW.
How you doing?
The brand goes head to head at WWE send main roster reinforcements. Jade, Owen, Bianca, Jade, and Randy. Alright. That's it. I think there's still one more I gotta talk about. Health update on Kill Switch, Tad, Britt Baker. Latest news. Janelle Grant at WWE to waive NDAs.
Lawyers representing Janelle Grant are asking WWE to release former or current company employees and contractors from non-disclosure agreements.
Chris Jericho commenting on AEW new TV deal. Janelle Grant at WWE to waive non-disclosure agreement, allow others to come forward. Chris Jericho, there's nothing better for the business than AEW's new TV deal. Daniel Garcia announces he's staying on with AEW. Two new matches. Swerve Strickland return booked for AEW Wrestle Dream. We have Stephanie Van Queer debut NXT Championship contenders match set for next week. New North American Champion crown. We had Nikki Lincoln return to NXT television.
Waiving or non-enforcing of these NDAs would allow other potential victims with similar accusations to come forward. The Associated Press reported Janelle Grant's team emailed the request to WWE attorneys on Monday evening, as well as to lawyers representing Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. As of this video, they have not received a response. However, a spokesperson for Vince McMahon declined to comment. Now,
All right. Now, I still got enough time in my video. There's still more to talk about. I might will talk about JD from New York. I'll talk about the TNT plan, massive media plan. That is the rumor by WrestleVote. They did say that earlier today that they could be setting up Rock, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns in a triple threat match. We'll have to see what happens. JD from New York. Let's see what he has to say about NXT and AEW.
Tonight, and I genuinely don't think Tony Khan even cares. He doesn't care one single solitary bit about anything, man. He is checked out. He is so far gone, he can't be bothered with anything. I don't work there. I don't know what happens. I don't know the internal workings of AEW. In fact, I don't need to work there. I could tell you how things operate without even fucking knowing a single thing as to what happens backstage. They don't have a creative team. WWE has a creative team. They plan things out. They get things in motion. They have a vision. For all we know, Triple H already has WrestleMania booked. And we are on the road to WrestleMania already in his mind. Tony Khan wakes up. There's not a single fucking thought about what's happening on Dynamite until Tony Khan wakes up. If the man even sleeps, I don't even know if he's human at this point. He may be of another fucking species. He may be of another planet. He might not even be a human life form. I don't know. The man doesn't sleep. So whatever he does as far as sleep, if he does sleep, he wakes up and he decides what's going to go on the show mere hours before the show actually goes live. The fact that he says and has been quoted saying that he's got 26 or so people that work around him and give him ideas and thoughts and creative. There is no creative team in AEW, period. The creative team is one man. That one man is Tony Khan. You can sit there and tell me, oh, he's got Jimmy Jacobs. Oh, he's got Will Washington. Give me a fucking break. Will Washington couldn't book himself out of a fucking paper bag. You fucking kidding me? I don't know how much he had to do with Swerve and Adam Page. That was great. Anything else? I don't know who the fuck is writing this show. This shit is absolutely fucking deplorable. This might have been the worst Dynamite show of the entire year. This was by far and away the worst Dynamite go-home show of the entire year. Maybe the worst go-home show that they've ever done, period. I can't pinpoint a single fucking thing that I am excited about on Saturday's pay-per-view, which may be the weakest AEW pay-per-view of the entire year. Something needs to change. This is not, again, it's like I'm a broken record. It's like you got an A side and a B side, and we keep flipping back and forth. The A side of the AEW album, go all in and all out, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
They actually used their brain creatively to come up with some decent fucking stories and some decent payoffs. The B side of the AEW album, Grand Slam and Wrestle Dream. Now you know why those songs didn't make the actual album.
Yeah.
Bands release B-sides and fucking imported songs that you only hear on the Japanese version of the album. Nobody wants to hear this shit. Nobody wants to see this shit. Nobody fucking cares. This show tonight was fucking downright miserable. Yet you got the AEW sickos out there who will claim everything is right because Tony Khan says so. Tony Khan says AEW and everything AEW is great. I'm not eating Frosted Flakes, bro. They are great. This shit is fucking depressing. I don't know how many people were in attendance tonight, but it sounded like there was maybe 200 to 300 people maximum in that building tonight. WrestleTix said they sold 1,800 tickets or so, 1,900 tickets or so, which would have been, I think, by my estimation, the lowest live gate for a Dynamite in the history of AEW Dynamite, where they just celebrated 5 years on Warner Brothers Discovery. 1,800, 1,900 people in a fucking venue that seats 12,000. Yet you people want to sit there and claim that everything is great because you got Hologram on AEW Dynamite, who went 14-0 tonight in a fucking gymnastics exhibition against Commander. Great. Absolutely fucking terrible. What an awful fucking show. I don't know what needs to change, but the one thing I keep going to is Tony Khan. Tony Khan needs to take a step back. This is getting bad. It is really, really getting bad. I don't know how anybody who's a fan of this show could watch that and say, yeah, I love AEW. How could you love AEW right now? Look at what has happened in the last month. We go from All In to All Out, into Grand Slam, into Wrestle Dream. Maybe AEW needs to do a better job of scheduling what they have coming up instead of piecing all these shows so close together. All In into All Out. I think everybody's kind of used to that by now. I've made recommendations that we just get rid of All Out altogether and we just do All In. I don't know why we just don't have one show per month and that they're spaced away from each other in a respectable way. Why does one show have to happen and then literally the next week there's a fucking show, or the next 2 weeks there's another show on pay-per-view? I mean, that is just mind-boggling fucking stupid. AEW coming out of All Outs, which they pushed back this year so that it happens 2 weeks after All In. Then they go right into Grand Slam, which was 2 weeks after All Out. And then they have 3 weeks to build towards Wrestle Dream. How do you allow anything to breathe? They clearly did not give a shit going into Grand Slam. They didn't give a shit going into Wrestle Dream. The creative direction in AEW is basically Tony Khan taking a dart, looking at a dartboard, and wherever it lands, that's the creative. Or he puts names in a randomizer on social media, and he asks Gronk on Twitter, their specialized AI, should I book in a match tonight? And the AI spits out random names. And that's what Tony Khan books, because Tony Khan is not a visionary. Tony Khan is not a creative man. Tony Khan just books for Tony Khan. I don't understand the direction. I don't understand what is done. I don't understand why there's a lack of storytelling in this company and why they expect me to sit here and emotionally invest myself in these absolute nothing matches, these exhibitions that are being showcased in front of 1,800 fucking people, and then you want to fucking parade around on social media like everything's fucking great.
Exactly.
I'm watching this shit and I feel fucking sad.
Yeah, me too.
I feel sad. I feel sad for the people working there. I feel sad for the people who paid money to sit there. I feel bad for all of us that have to watch this I feel like, honestly, I feel like a loser watching AEW. You're watching a man run a company into the fucking ground, and he doesn't know that he's doing it because Warner paid him close to $600 million and pat him on the back saying, "Good job, Tony. Good job. You're only here because we need something that is weekly episodic television, if you want to even call it that at this point. You're only here right now because we lost the rights to the NBA. Thank you for being our second best friend."
Yeah.
It's basically what it is.
Yeah.
I am so far gone about AEW, it is not even funny. Yeah, you got the people on social media, and I heard it tonight. "Oh, why don't you stop covering it?" No, I'm not going to stop covering it because AEW actually makes me some decent revenue on the back end. Much better than NXT did. Nobody was watching NXT when I covered NXT. Nobody gives a shit about NXT. I'm
Exactly.
not the only one that stopped covering NXT either. They aren't really all that great either. I only stopped covering NXT because it just got to a point where it was just too much. The numbers didn't reflect. This is the second biggest wrestling promotion in the entire world. I'm not going to stop covering the second biggest pro wrestling company in the entire industry because you think I should stop covering it. No. If that was the case, I would have stopped covering WWE during the fucking terrifying days of Vince McMahon running Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown into the fucking ground 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You remember I was in the trenches then. If I didn't give up then, what makes you think I'm going to give up now? Give me a break. I put on my fucking big boy pants and I braced the goddamn storm that was coming every single week. I sit here every fucking week and give you guys the perspective of an actual down-to-earth, grounded, real, human pro wrestling fan. Through me, you feel the frustrations. Through me, you feel the excitement. Through me, you know what works, what doesn't work. Through me, you know what's good and what's bad. In all my years doing this, I've never sugarcoated anything. What makes you think I'm going to stop covering AEW when I didn't stop covering WWE? There's a fucking problem. Tonight, I mean, it seemingly feels like it's an every week thing now. There is a problem. How do you look at that show and say, "Good job, Tony"? How do you work there and say, "Good job, boss"? Does nobody question anything? I genuinely don't even know where to start. I don't.
Me neither.
This is bad.
Yeah. Very bad.
This is fucking bad.
Yeah.
1,800 people in a 12,000 seat place. The entire arena is blacked out. I can't see anything past the fucking first 2 rows. Everything just sounds terrible on TV. Everything sounds like there's an echo. I mean, it's the whole show. The show is so fucking bad. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint a single fucking thing that made any sense on tonight's show. Not one single thing.
Yeah.
We're going to try and break the AEW side of things down. NXT was the superior show tonight, no doubt about it. You had Javon Evans, who is athletic as all, in there against Randy Orton. It was a fun match, fun showcase for him being 20 years old. They tried an RKO spot, which everybody kind of predicted that there would be an attempt to have the best RKO spot ever. You know, they certainly went and gave a very ambitious effort, only to have it just be a worldwide botch on national television. But Javon Evans was still in there with one of the greatest ever, a man that wanted to work with him specifically. And he got his flowers at the end of the match because Randy Orton told him, don't worry about it. Shit happens. Congratulated him. Don't worry about it. Raised his hand and gave him the Randy Orton seal of approval. That's the only part that really should matter to anybody. So that was your main event tonight. Stephanie Vaquer made her NXT on-screen debut tonight, standing side by side with Julia. Looks like we're getting a tag team match, potentially at Halloween Havoc against Roxanne Perez and the returning Cora Jade. Tony D'Angelo wins the NXT North American Championship in what I thought was a banger match. Probably the best match of the entire night, honestly, between both shows. He won the North American Championship. He defeated the unstoppable Obafemi, who right now looks to be on his way to bigger and better things on Tuesday nights. So we will talk about that as well. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were there. They teamed with Kalani Jordan against Fatal Influence, Toxic Attraction 2.0. Basically what they are. And another attraction vignette for the soon-to-be debuting Delta that NXT is promoting now on top of Stephanie Beck, Theory, and Grayson Waller tonight. A-Town Down Under. NXT was a lot better than what they did in their debut episode. And I quite like the smaller crowd. I mean, they had about 7,000, 7,500 in Chicago at the Allstate Arena. They had about 1,900 in a very small warehouse factory in St. Louis. And they made it look great. They made it sound great. I like those type of shows, man. See, that's what AEW should be doing. 1,800 in a fucking place that seats 1,800. Not 1,800 where the fucking venue is 20,000 deep. How embarrassing is that for you? Oh, but they run shows because they need internet and they need the proper setup. Well, whatever the fucking excuses are. Whatever the excuses are. WWE could run a fucking warehouse, a factory somewhere in the middle of bumblefuck St. Louis. Why can't AEW do the same thing? Put a poll in the live stream chat. 1,600 votes. Guys, go check out the Raw review. Had people legitimately reaching into my DMs. I didn't know Dynamite was on tonight. I don't know what to tell you, partner. And maybe of all time. Don't know how you guys watched NXT with him as the champion for 3 months or so. I don't understand. They gave him a world championship after 6 weeks. They gave him a world championship after 6 weeks of joining NXT, coming over from AEW, man. Talk about a political maneuver. He's not a world champion in any promotion. Not even on the developmental brand. He doesn't fit the vibe of being a world champion.
Exactly. He was actually born.
Williams. He's out there. Williams gave himself a new nickname. He calls himself Tricky 2 times. This is the 2-time NXT champion. Tricky 2 times. Say it 2 times because he's a 2-time champion. He is interrupted by Wes Lee. Now, I love Wes Lee. I think Wes Lee is great. Wes Lee is one of the best things about NXT. I think he's phenomenal in the ring. I think Wes Lee just carries. You're asking me if I'm invested. Yeah. Now, Wes Lee, who is one of the best athletes in the entire company, gee, man, I'm still wondering where all that representation is that somehow has gone missing from social media. Oh, but Triple H is not diverse. Gee, man, I must be fucking blind. Maybe that's not what I saw tonight. This women's tag team match, I gotta ask, man. Listen. Kalani Jordan's fine. Still not the biggest fan of what she does in the ring. I think she's very, I don't know, man. Kalani Jordan, very vanilla. What makes her stand out? Luka is someone who's got, man, you can see who's breaking away from the pack. That's why Lola Vice is being pushed. Lola's got, is getting better. There's nothing that you could tell. It's all fake. It's all manufactured. People see right through that, man. When they all do that choreographed fucking pose, I cringe. I cringe. And Sam Callahan.
Alright, I will skip this. Hold on, there's a commercial.
Next year, and Trick Williams, with the charisma that oozes from Trick Williams is going to be on the main roster in 2025. No doubt about it.
Yep, it's a possibility.
You know what's best for your life, despite it not being the easiest or the best answer.
Alright, might will just skip this.
Needs a big 6 foot.
Places, you know, have sometimes they undergo renovations.
Alright. I think I talked about everything. I think I got everything on here. Well, I think I will stop the video in just a little bit. NBA 25, oh, that Chris move. Daniel Garcia chose AEW. Massive champions. Off-season moves. Alonzo's on the Timberwolves. Is he? I know that. Prison Escape, Call of Duty Zombies Easter egg. Just rep taught the request. So Just Alice also made one.
Welcome to Alex's World.
Will Shane McMahon show up? These are all the masses. 2 out of 3 falls. TBS Championship. Alright. 2-hour Raw, no confidence. What the F is this build? It in WWE frustrated with 2-hour Raw. Yeah. Hopefully I hope that next week Raw can be a lot better than what happened this week. Now there's NXT. Ava Wang announces that Ethan Page, Wesley, and Galvan will be in a tag team match or what? Wiley will be attacked with Holland from behind during their match. Nika Lincoln returned to front Lola Vice. Definitely debuted in NXT. We got to read calls on the release of NDAs. There's the Wrestling Inc. Swerve makes history. Swerve Strickland declared history made and finalizing new AEW content. He might have signed a multi-year deal with the company. This is where the comic book features a new issue of DC Comics Batman. Adam Copeland highlights this after Tony Khan has helped provided.
lead the fifth. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of folks in the chat here with us already. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on a Tuesday. Speaking of Tuesdays, real quick announcement for everybody. Going forward, we will not be covering NXT on Wrestling Inc. anymore for a variety of reasons. Unfortunately, it just does not seem logistically possible. So we will not be doing NXT any longer, but we will still be doing our Raws, our Dynamites, our SmackDowns, our TLEs, and our pay-per-views. It's just Tuesdays. We'll just be a break day for you.
All right. Knew they breaking up. Well, I think that's everything. All right. I think I talked about everything.
Vote no on question 5.
Less, not more. Question 5.
All right, hold on. I think I will end the video in just a few minutes. It's still on commercials if I want to wait.
Oh, I haven't heard anything mentioned about him being there on Friday. We know Roman will be. So yeah, it was different. It was different, and it was the turn that I think a lot of us were expecting. There was some talk about, well, maybe it won't be him, maybe it'll be Randy instead. Meanwhile, Randy is the babyface, wrestling Javon Evans and acting like a dad last night. And then Kevin Owens is now like this vicious monster who is attacking the champion for unknown reasons. How does this affect things going forward? How does this affect things for Survivor Series? Is Cody going to have one more title match against Owens at Survivor Series? Is that the match?
I mean, I wouldn't do it because I just feel like it's going to lead to an inevitable loss for KO. But maybe Randy is the one pulling the strings here, and they both go heel, and he was the one who facilitated this heel turn for KO. I have no.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I kind of like that because I don't know, what direction this is going to go in. But I love the idea. Heel Kevin Owens. This has been a while.
Yeah,
and as good of a babyface as he is, he's very open. He's a great heel. From the moment he came into this company, his very first night in the black and gold, right? You remember this. The first night he came in, what he did to Sami Zayn, it just set the tone for his entire run. And then, of course, anybody who may have followed before that in Ring of Honor. So I'm all for heel Kevin Owens at a time when SmackDown, my God, they could use another big heel on top on that Friday show.
Kevin Owens is indeed a great heel. I'll never forget him coming up to the main roster and attacking John Cena and holding up the NXT World Championship at the time and stepping on the United States Championship and just kind of burying that title live on Raw. And I'm like, okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah, or one of my favorite things, which actually turned to babyface for me, was when he powerbomb Machine Gun Kelly off the
That's it. That's always anybody. It could be anybody powerbombing Machine Gun Kelly. I would have looked at them like a hero.
Of course.
Love it. So, Friday's going to be a great show. A lot of questions to be answered. And Randy Orton, honestly, is everybody is thinking about where he fits into this. So, yeah, it's going to be, you guys want...
Gigantic lately. Did you hear when he came out last night? They announced him at 290 pounds. Do you buy that?
Well, Samantha Irvin was announcing him, or Alicia Taylor was announcing him as like 250, 260, and he's like, no, I'm putting on way too much mass to be 260. He actually makes fun of it when they say so.
Yeah, but 290. I mean, my God. I mean, he looks gigantic.
He does not look 290 though.
No, but not. I mean, he's gigantic, but not to the tune of 290.
Whatever, man. He's having a grand old time. So when that heel turn comes, it's actually gonna really be it's gonna hit pretty hard. So I'm looking forward to that. But Friday, you guys want the story on SmackDown? How many times have Jason and I said SmackDown is fucking so basic and formulaic? They need something to inject some excitement into the show. This is it. You're gonna get story. So Friday should be a good show. We don't know if Rock is gonna be there or not, but we'll be tuned in.
Yeah, and the other thing about it also is SmackDown has been pretty fucking lame the last couple of months. I mean, that show, in many ways, that show has really fallen off the cliff.
Yeah.
So the timing is perfect now because with Rock, we'll see if, again, he shows up at least occasionally. Roman, I mean, it looks like he's going to be on most SmackDowns going forward. I saw they added a bunch of dates for him, so that's good. And now the KO stuff. My real hope is that it will finally make SmackDown interesting at a time when, frankly, it has not been very interesting.
We would hope. With everything else going on, we got Andrade and LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes in the United States title. Maybe we get AJ in something interesting. We'll get to AJ in a little bit. We're going to start with Raw, though. Even though AJ is in the news for his injury, whether it's an injury or not, we don't really know. I don't think so, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But Raw, going into Raw coming out of Bad Blood. Raw, the first time since July of 2012, Jason, 2 hours. We all asked for it. And the growing sentiment on social media was, man, I missed 3 hours. I didn't say it. I know you didn't say it. People were really impatient about, jumping on the 3-hour bandwagon. Let's go back. No, we don't need to go back. I honestly think that the training wheels for booking a 2-hour Raw were very uncomfortable for WWE. It's going to be a slow process to get back into the groove of booking 2 hours on Monday, not coming out of 3 hours. But the thing is, people were making a big deal about, they need 3 hours. They don't really need 3 hours. Triple H has done this with 1 hour. He's done this with 2 hours. 3 hours is way too long. When you get to that 10 to 11 o'clock hour, it is a very difficult watch on most weeks, even when the show is good. But if the show is good, 2 hours is perfect. Monday's show the first hour was not as entertaining as Monday Night Raw has done.
But I mean, to say it, Monday's show was the worst Raw.
Yes.
I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Yeah.
That was the worst Raw in months. And I say that, which is not to say that it's the worst
it
Raw
was.
of all time. It's just a reflection of how good Raw has been, I think, the last several months. That this was easily the worst of the Raw shows that I've seen in months. And I saw a lot of the same comments that you saw. I saw them in the comments section. I got the same shit that you probably got. See, for the longest time.
You asked for this, you geeks.
Yeah, right. Fuck off. Okay, all the people who are like, yes, this is your fault. You wanted 2 hours. What happens? This is a company, by the way, Raw is the only 3-hour show at the moment. I mean, SmackDown may be going 3 hours, but at the moment, the only 3-hour show they have. This is a company that for years and years and years, okay, including Raw, once upon a time, booked 2-hour shows. NXT every week is a 2-hour show. SmackDown every week, even though SmackDown hasn't been great lately. There was a period earlier this year where SmackDown was on fire, okay? This company knows how to book a 2-hour wrestling show. They're not always great, but they can do it.
Black and Gold was 1 hour, guys. 1 hour every week on the network, and it was great.
So I know they can do it. It's not like they don't know how to book a 2-hour show. The problem is they book 3 hours worth of talent, or tried to, on a 2-hour show. So this is going to take some time. Now it's only temporary anyway. It almost feels like a moot point here because they're only 2 hours until the end of the year, and then when they go to Netflix, more than likely, we don't know yet for sure, but more than likely, the show's going to be back to the 3-hour range, give or take. I would like to think it would stay at 2, but it probably won't. So this is just temporary, but it will take maybe a couple of weeks. I mean, they taped this coming Monday show because they have a UK tour coming up. So the show this Monday was already taped. So maybe the week after, maybe we'll give them another week. But it'll take a little bit of adjusting because they've been booking a 3-hour show every single week for over a decade now. And Raw gets more draft picks than SmackDown because typically it is a 3-hour show. What Triple H tried to do on Monday was fit 3 hours of talent in a 2-hour show. Or the way I describe it, it's like trying to shovel 10 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag. That's what they were doing. Case in point, the women's match, 10-woman tag team match. They had to get everybody on the show because that's one of Triple H's goals every single week. He tries to get the talent on the show, even if it's just for a brief segment in the back. He wants people to have a role on the show every single week. And I respect that, and I appreciate that. But for at least the time being, it's okay if there's some talent that misses a week and they're on the show every other week, especially if they're not involved in like a major story. If you're involved in a major story, then yes, of course, you want to try to get those people on the show as much as possible. So I just think there'll be some growing pains involved here. This does not mean that, this means they have to book 3 hours. The show can't possibly be good if it's anything other than 3 hours. Okay, if you honestly believe that, then you're not very bright. Okay, so I saw a lot of stupid comments like that. It doesn't make any sense. I'll throw one more thing at you.
It's not perfect.
And this I also think hurt the show. No Bronson Reed. No Drew McIntyre. Even Punk and Rollins and certain people, they were on the show, but they had a very brief role, right? They didn't do much. But there were some big players that were missing from Raw Monday night. Bronson Reed and Drew McIntyre have been two of the best parts of Raw for the entire year. Right? Bronson Reed over the last few months, and Drew McIntyre has been great all year. And they weren't even on the show. That hurt too. So you got to factor that in as well. So yeah, it was not a great show on the whole. But I do think as these weeks go on, they'll find their groove again. It's not like Triple H is going to suddenly forget how to book a good Raw, and it will be fine. But this nonsense about how it has to be 3 hours. I think this is coming from people who are either very young or who just don't know anything. And they started watching Raw in the last 10 years.
That's the point I was going to make. I feel like there's a huge disconnect between people like Jason and I and the new age fan that you see on social media. Now, I know we're not the youngins that are getting into the content creation game. We're still very good at what we do. But, Jason and I have been in the trenches 12 years covering some of the worst fucking shows in the history of this entire company, led by Vince McMahon. There were times where both of us said, I quit. This company physically almost made me tap out covering Monday Night Raw after the show was over. This was before we even started live streaming on the platform. I used to pre-review and then upload the same night. I said, I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to sit here and watch this show and be bothered by talking about it for another fucking 2 hours. I can't do it. The disconnect comes from people that don't know what Jason and I went through for the last 12 years. That show was 3 hours. That was terrible. New age fans don't know what happened then. All they see now is a 3-hour Monday Night Raw booked by Triple H, which is going to be better than what Vince did, and that's all you see. So when we say 3 hours is not the way it needs to be, we have the greatest fucking examples that you could possibly ever imagine as to why this show should not be 3 hours. Plus, we also know what Triple H is capable of doing at 1 hour and 2 hours. So you can't really argue when it comes to both of our perspectives. I do feel like Jason is correct. They tried to shove 10 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag. The fucking commercials, it was like watching 3 hours of commercials on a 2-hour show. I just felt like there was just an overabundance extra. It just felt extra that there were so many more commercials on the show than normal. Like, I don't even get that many commercials on a 2-hour SmackDown. I just felt like I was watching a 3-hour show with commercials.
But I wonder if they were obligated, because usually the show is 3 hours, and they literally were trying to condense 3 hours worth of commercials too. That's what it felt like.
And then some of the excuses were like, WWE and USA Network, their partnership is over. I'm like, God, you guys come up with fucking excuses. SmackDown is on USA Network every Friday. The fuck are you talking about? Please.
There's a war between USA and WWE. Yeah.
2 hours. It just needs to be a good show. Like, the women's match was the most egregious because that's a Vince McMahon thing. He used to do that because him and Bruce, they didn't give a fuck about women's wrestling. Let's be honest. They used to throw everybody out there just so that they shut up the vocal minority on social media. So when I see that, I'm like, oh my God.
I had to shut you up, bring up the
we don't need
because
to
y'all want to
say that. That's only
got sick of
going to
tired giving your bullshit.
more.
Sick of tired of your
That
bullshit.
just looks so blatantly obvious to
Next
what he's
time,
doing.
don't come out there
So
with that
hopefully they do
attitude. Don't be calling her names
mistakes
a good.
coming out of this show. And
Or because you're going to deal with me. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
This week,
Because you're going to deal with me.
a lot better than
my
what we
bill.
got this week, but
You
the
think I'm
week
playing
after
with you?
that, hopefully it
I'm sick of tired dealing with your
gets back to
bullshit.
normal. But Monday was
You don't
not
think,
good.
you don't
I
think
would even
me
say
every
coming
day?
out of that blow going into Monday.
You don't think I'm
this
hurt every day?
these
I
two
gotta put up
shows,
this
this
shit.
short stretch was the worst stretch that WWE had in
No, you're not.
2024. Honestly.
That's what you at.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there. I mean, look,
No, you're
I
not.
think
I mean,
you
you're
can say
acting like
that.
that, baby.
We had
Try.
the Done match, which I really enjoyed.
There's no, it's not, there's
good.
not too
And then
tired
you
out to
had
break up a
also
fight.
Luther and
Then
Sami
you
Zayn,
come.
very good. And so you have two really good matches on a 2-hour
You think
show.
I'm playing with you?
I can't sit here and say it was the worst Raw that I've
Do you
seen
think I'm
all
playing
year.
with you?
But just if you
Speaking
watch
out,
the
you
show,
get your ass.
as
You can
compared
get
to
your ass
how
whooped with
it
the
has
other
been
cop.
of late, quality
Oh
wise,
no, oh no, yeah, oh yeah,
just
you
the
will.
feel of
And the
show,
cop can take my
vibe
word
of
for it,
the
not
show,
yours. Get
the
the fuck.
rushed nature of certain things, because again, they're just not used to doing 2 hours on
Think I'm
Monday.
fucking playing with you?
They'll adjust to it.
Get the fuck
All
out
of
of
that
here.
just made for a very awkward show that just was not as fun as it's been.
Yeah, Sheamus and Pete Dunne was great. Donnybrook match. Jey Uso beats Xavier Woods. There's a storyline going on there. The match didn't really mean much of anything. What happened after the match?
The match was like fucking 4 minutes long. That's ridiculous for an intercontinental.
There was 4 minutes of commercials and 2 minutes of TV.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I was like, what the hell? They promoted this all week, and this is like, this should be a bigger deal. I know it was all about the angle at the end, but still, like, that was ridiculous.
Speaking of that, were you surprised to see Braun Breaker all of a sudden maybe go babyface last week, only to come back and spear Jey Uso in half, and then obviously claim that he wants the Intercontinental Championship? I'd be surprised to see that back and forth, back-to-back weeks with him.
I was, but they had me convinced they were going a different way with him. They were going to maybe start really building him up, maybe as a baby face, maybe more like a tweener.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought we were going to get, and then out of nowhere, he spears Jey, and it's like, all right, I guess we're going right back to this. But boy, I wouldn't be beating him twice, and so that tells me that Jey Uso is going to lose the next time they wrestle for that championship. And so how's that going to work? Is somebody going to get involved? Are they actually going to have him beat Jey clean? I find that hard to believe. As over as Jey is, and when was the last time Jey Uso got beat clean by anybody? Right? It's been a while. So how's that going to play out? I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't have him go in there and just lose again to Jey Uso. I mean, Braun's the future, man. You got to start building him up and thinking ahead to bigger things for him in 2025. Jey Uso's got the title. He's, on top of the world right now. I don't see where he needs to go in there and just beat Braun Breaker a second time. So I was actually a little surprised that they would go back to it when I saw what I thought they were going to do. But it looks like we're going to get a rematch. Maybe Crown Jewel.
Yeah, that Gunther promo a couple weeks ago really kind of stood out, right? He was like, I'll be seeing you a lot sooner than you think, and then the World Heavyweight Championship and walk away.
Yeah, he was eyeballing the bell over his shoulder, and I even thought, okay, maybe we're looking at our Royal Rumble in 2025.
Yeah, he's still my early pick.
Is he?
Yeah.
Even after this?
Yeah.
Even if he wins back the Intercontinental title?
I don't see why not.
I'm saying it's impossible, but I'd be very surprised if he wins the title back. What I would do is I would build him and Sheamus to WrestleMania, because I think
that's probably
I think that'd be a great match, but also the whole Sheamus story, him going after that belt.
Who knows? I mean, the Royal Rumble is going to be a fucking shit. I just with this rumor, who the fuck else is going to win the Royal Rumble? You would think like someone like Braun Breaker is a shoe-in to win the Royal Rumble, or someone like that should be heavily considered. But who knows with Dwayne poking around? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Braun Breaker as a heel or a babyface, I don't give a shit either way. Again, it goes back to what I said even before he won the championship. He gave me the pen, and I had to make a split-second decision. I'm not taking the belt off of him. I'm going to put it back on. I don't know. But Jey, hopefully, like you said, Jason, if Jey loses the championship, maybe they kind of reboot Glenn back to Sammy, and they do Judgment Day, take the belts off the Judgment Day, and then maybe they get into the Bloodline stuff, maybe a unification match of sorts for the tag team titles. I mean, that's wishful thinking, but that's what I would do. Because they did drop it out of nowhere. I would assume they're going to go back to it.
I mean, Balor and McDonough having them is a fucking waste. So, I mean, to me, the sooner you get the belts off them, the better. I mean, my God. How many title defenses have they had since winning those titles? I mean, I know they've had at least one. But is that it? I mean, can you think of...
Yeah, they defended against the New Day.
Did they?
Yeah. You don't even know yet.
That's right. That's right. Okay, yes. Kofi said he got them a title.
Yeah.
Okay. I almost completely forgot about that. Which I think says a lot about the reign of Finn Balor and Taker McDonough.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be thinking about Finn Balor all night now. How you said it?
See, it's catchy, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, Raw hopefully is a lot better on Monday. Going into Tuesday, they were in St. Louis on Monday and stayed in St. Louis, and they will be in St. Louis until Hurricane Milton passes. So that's what the latest rumor is there, or the report actually.
Well, the ones who live in Florida, and a lot of these guys do, especially DC.
Yeah.
They do live in Florida.
Yeah, going on into NXT, the debut show on CW last week. Jason and I both covered it because we thought it would be a big enough show to really get invested in. And I said what I said on my show Tuesday night, and just out of sheer curiosity, I was at the gym on the treadmill doing my cardio, and I listened to Jason's video and stream while I was doing my workout the following day on Wednesday. And I said to myself, it's amazing how some things that we just talk about, as far as pro wrestling is concerned, is the same. Literally said the same thing Jason said. A lot of people even come into our streams on Tuesday night when we're on Tuesday night here on this show saying, man, you guys got to watch NXT. You don't know what you're missing. It's not the same. It's so much better. And the first thing I said when I came on my review on Tuesday last week, I'm like, guys, I don't know what the fuck I'm missing. I don't know where the disconnect is. This shit is not what you are making it out to be, man. Jason, last week I was very disappointed with that being the debut show. Julia and Roxanne was hyped to no end, and it just felt very flat to me. We'll talk about that in a second. Trick Williams, Ethan Page, I was very bored by it. Wesley's incredible. I think him and Zachary Wentz had a great street fight. But outside that, man, I can't really pinpoint anything as, oh my God, man, I got to go watch this on a weekly basis. I'm not there at all.
Well, might well just stop the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more. I will do SmackDown this Friday. But until next time, this is Jacob Cast 2024. Thank you for watching my live stream. Watching my AEW review. I'll see y'all later.
I think the second show was much better.